What's good, people? Welcome to another edition of Politics here on the Got What You Need Network. Of course, I'm your host, Guy. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's make sure that we continue to support the entire network and all the great broadcasts that we have going on over there, the Black Male Podcast, Life and Love, as well as Politics. Today, man, we're going to talk about um, that we still have no answers in regards to the condition of Mitch McConnell. A few still shots have been released, look mostly AI, and even if they're not, a still shot picture wouldn't indicate the ability to do your job and how well are you functioning as not only an adult but as a sitting member of the U.S. Senate. Um, we still have no end in sight in regards to this war. Um, the administration is not being very forthcoming with truthful and honest information. Every time they say that there's negotiations going on, um, a spokesperson from Iran usually comes out and disputes that claim. So now we'll get into who's telling the truth and who you believe or whatever. I'm just saying, this administration has lied from the very beginning, from the reasoning for going into the war, as well as the actual conditions of the war. Secretary of Defense Hegseth was literally just arguing with members of the committee every time they pointed out that he stated something that wasn't true. And it was almost like they committed the crime of like holding that against him or like bringing that up. This war was supposed to be over months ago. Um, Iran's capacity to attack American interests was supposed to be gone months ago. And still that hasn't happened. The Tate Brothers. I don't know if you remember um, the Trump administration and the White House and other powerful people over here um, allowed them to travel from Romania when they were facing sexual assault charges, um, human. Um, I won't say human trafficking until I get a verification on that, but I believe that is one of the charges as well. But I know that it's a sexual assault charge, and it was so much that um, they were arrested here in the United States and brought back. But what's interesting about that is now the the youngest son of the president, has Barron Trump has been implicated. No, implicated might be too strong of a word. He's been named. So we'll see what that entails. But right now he's been named in some documents. So we will see how far that goes. Um Katie Phang, um, longtime respected journalist who's now working with an independent organization called the Meidas Touch. And she started um, pushing for not the release of the, um, what am I saying, the Epstein files, but she just wanted the White House and the DOJ to follow the law. Like there's a law that says that all of the files must be released, and the DOJ basically have decided that they will release what they want when they want, and they don't care what happens. Well, Um, we'll start here. She has been like really on her job, and her lawsuits have been working. And as of now, she's she has gotten acting Attorney General Blanche sanctioned by the court at the tune of $1,000 a day until he produces the files. And from what I understand, he has handed them over to the judge in that case. So if what the reporting has said is true, then the judge that, I mean, Trump literally can't just can't even stand is the one um holding the unredacted files. So just double yes, yep, they were turned over in the last few days. Um the Justice Department confirmed that it has turned over unredacted Epstein files directly to a federal judge for private review, making the latest development in the lawsuit brought by attorney and Meidas Touch host Katie Phang, challenging the government's handling of the files. U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan um, is now in possession of those files, and we'll see what comes from those reviews. But for Congress to do all of what it did, and every other powerful organization, for one reporter from a pretty much new, I mean, Meidas Touch is powerful, don't get me wrong, and they're growing every day, but they're still pretty new. And for her to get these kind of results, it should be applauded, man. So now, like I said, Judge Sullivan has supposedly all of the unredacted files. Now, what's going to come from those files being in his possession, um, we'll wait, but he's definitely not a MAGA lawyer. He's not partisan either, and he's going to follow the letter of the law. But I'm definitely curious to see what's going to happen in regards to that. Um, as I start at the top, we still have no answers in regards to Mitch McConnell and his condition. Um, Governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear, has been very weak when it comes to this. Um, they literally been hiding his condition since for about 2 months right now, and the deadline for holding a special election is fast coming up, and I don't think that the governor will have time to either schedule a special election or appoint someone. And I know that there's a illegal law on the book that the Republicans pass, and this is the trick that they do when they're going to lose the governor's house. They pretty much pass all these rules right before the governor takes over. They do the same thing in North Carolina, where the governor power is limited. And like I said, I just think that should be illegal. You know, is it the will of the people or isn't it? Just like with the upcoming midterms, the sitting president is trying to do everything in his power to cheat because he knows the numbers are against them. So he's making up all of these um, mail-in ballot rules, and got the U.S. Postal Service going along with the little shenanigans or whatever. That's why I tell you, everybody within the sound of my voice, be diligent. Make sure, like right now, it's early enough that if there's a problem with your registration, it can be fixed. You can register. You have time to get any ID that you may have. If you know your ID is going to expire before election day, let's go ahead and get it renewed. Like, There's so many things that we can do right now to make sure that we're in a place because this thing about voter ID, I have never voted without showing some form of ID. In Virginia, when I voted, I was able to show my voter ID card. They have a voter ID card or whatever, that you can, apply for at motor vehicles, when you go get your license or whatever. Um, so that's all a myth, within itself. Um, oh, but before I get too fast, like, in my opinion, Democrats are just so weak. Do the same thing that the Republicans do. Make a ruling and then make them sue. Make them have to roll Mitch McConnell out and say, see, he's alive. Because everything that we've seen up to now doesn't prove any type of proof of life. And the way he appeared in that ambulance with nobody showing any urgency when they came to his house on a 911 call leads me to believe that he's no longer with us. I don't have proof of that, and that's why I say it leads me to believe, but I strongly believe that. So until they prove me wrong, that's where I'm standing in regards to Senator McConnell's position. But once again, just the weakness of the Democrats to like not really be pushing this. Like it's all of these independent organizations that's asking for status reports. There's nothing coming in from any other major organization in regards to his condition. And I just think that it's highly irresponsible to allow a sitting U.S. senator to be getting paid his salary for this long, and we don't even know if he's alive. Like the first picture they took, he was supposed to be in the hospital, and they took a picture of him like fully like clothed in his street clothes, and you already know that that's not how you're dressed in the hospital or whatever. Like they're not even smart enough to like use good AI, and we're still sitting here allowing them to lie in our face, and I think that in the next couple of days we need definitive answers and we need a definitive decision in regard from the governor of Kentucky on what are we going to do about that seat. Um, the people of Kentucky have two U.S. senators and they only have one right now. And never mind, this ain't about Rand Paul, but yeah, like I said. So, speaking about the Tate brothers, so they're currently detained in a Miami federal jail, and because they're trying to fight extradition back to the UK. They face a total of 59 criminal charges in the UK, including rape and sex trafficking. So I was correct on that, but like I said, I just want to make sure um, that I had that correct before I let that out there stat. Now, like I was saying, there's reports that 20-year-old Barron Trump could be forced to testify before the House Oversight Committee in regards to um, his connection to the Tate brothers, as well as some other questionable dealings. So, according to reports, the president's youngest son has been flogging energy drinks and making millions of dollars off cryptocurrency schemes, but he hasn't really been seen in public or whatever. But now they're saying that he might be forced to stay behind the scenes until he's subpoenaed because of his connection with the Tate brothers. And once again, like I said, they're basically fighting extradition to the UK. They face allegations of rape, assault, trafficking, and other offenses relating to indecent images of a child and extreme pornography. They deny these charges, and they are innocent until proven guilty. Um, it really doesn't say in this article, and that's why I start reading, like, what's the connection? I just believe that they're kind of cool, like friends or whatever. And it doesn't say anything in here in regards to, Barron Trump being in any of the places where any of the charges were levied. So I just want to make sure that that is stated as well. It just really is kind of saying that they're really close, and that might lead for trouble for the president's son down the road. We'll see. We'll see. Right now, the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. The backup path that they tried to make through Saudi Arabia is being hit in the north by the Iranians, or I guess we say in the east by the Iranians, and in the west by the Houthis out of out of Somalia or whatever. So nothing's really going right for the administration in regards to that. And let's just be clear, the Strait of Hormuz was open before the war started. Iran did nothing to start this other than be an enemy of Israel. And because of that, Benjamin Netanyahu made up another lie, just like the Saddam Hussein lie about Iraq. And we can just go on and on and on. But now we're stuck in what seems to be an endless war. Iran is not going to surrender. So the United States will be left to basically tuck their tails and leave, and not even get the agreements that were documented in the memorandum of understanding. Better yet, the JCPOA. So for all y'all keeping score, Trump ripped up the JCPOA because of Obama. He didn't like that, even though it was an international coalition who came together, and Iran was doing everything they needed to do to honor the agreement. Israel didn't like that because that doesn't fit their narrative that they're the biggest state sponsor of terrorism. So when they got Trump back in office, they made sure that he ripped it up. Um, so that then, after a while, Iran going to be like, why should we honor something that the people who negotiated with us to sign ripped it up? Then come to us, then renegotiate. Just that it's null and void. And they knew that they would go back to doing what they supposed to do as a country, and that's make sure that their defenses are in place. This thing where like some countries can have weapons of defense and some others can't is crazy to me. And everybody has Google out there. Let's do the United States is separate. They celebrate, 250 years. Google how old Iran is. Like, I to me, that in itself is just crazy. So, a place that's been around since the beginning of time has to basically answer to a country that is 250 years old, and another one that what's 1947 to now. So what's that, 80? Okay, I'm sorry for the pause. I just had to Google it myself. They said the existence of Iran, and you might notice Persia, goes back over 5,000 years. Just want to put that out there. I have a message for MAGA and MAGA adjacent. What is the end game? When he ran on lower prices on day one. No new wars, like business will be booming for everybody, and this will be the greatest era that our country has ever seen, right? But now we have skyrocketing gas prices. We have skyrocketing grocery prices. We have questions with food safety, with the cuts at the CDC, excuse me. We have longer lines at the airports and more, mid-air more, crashes in the air than any time, on recorded record. We have ICE officers kidnapping citizens. Like, it's bad enough that they're just picking up random people with no warrants, no explanation, just taking them, getting them processed, and then the first thing they do is just move them to another state. Like, even the most hardcore person in regards to immigration can't can't be cool with the killing, with the rape, the sexual assault, and the rape of children in these facilities. And I'm not saying allegedly. No, these people are saying it themselves. They're being fed nasty food. They're being kept in conditions like no human should be kept in, and not supposedly the greatest country in the world. Um, then we got, stock market manipulation. Um, the military is basically bankrupting the Pentagon because of the incompetence of the Secretary of Defense. We're literally looking the other way as, Israel commits genocide in Gaza. And if you say what I just said too loud or around the wrong people, your bank account could be frozen. You could lose your job. You could be doxxed. You have death threats. What, for all these supposedly God-fearing people, why is this issue such like an issue of morality? And if you choose a side of the morality that's similar to your faith and your beliefs, or what have you, you're called names. You're called anti-Semitic. And why every time that, reports from the Geneva Convention, the UN, like factual reports to, a Israeli spokesperson when they're on TV, debating, they always go on a attack or they deflect to October 7th. And then when we're talking about October 7th, Prime Minister Prime Minister Netanyahu is on video admitting that he sent money to Qatar to transfer to Hamas for them to keep up the attack so that he could prolong the war. He's on trial for that. But this is the person that the president is allowed to invite over into his country as a war criminal. He's meeting with all of our government officials. He's basically telling us what to do in Iran or whatever. He's pushing for our military to be merged with, the Israeli military, or what have you. Like, what are we really doing here? I understand that we have allies or whatever, but what's going on with this stuff is ridiculous. It's so bad. that it's people that don't like Miss Rachel because she's standing on the right side of history right now. I saw one tweet that was, I like Miss Rachel before she got political. How is saying that all children deserve to live is political? How is saying that Nolan Wells deserves justice after all the information that has come out after the officials down in Mississippi have lied? They didn't think that that boat recording would be able to be cleaned up the way it was so that you could clearly hear what people were saying on the boat and you could clearly hear that Bart had did something to Nolan and all the kids were worried about the condition of Nolan and whether he was dead or not. This isn't speculation. This isn't conjecture. This is what I listened to those kids, oh my God, I think he's dead out of their mouths on that recording. And now you're going to try to tell me that the officials didn't have it. And then you want to tell me that there's not a cover up when the coroner won't release the throat. Um, like basically took his throat out during the autopsy and won't release it because it'll show that Bart probably choked him and broke his larynx. And that would basically prove that it wasn't a drowning. He died by asphyxiation. I understand that there's going to be a faction of people that are just racist, and anything that happens to a black person either didn't happen or they deserved it. And we can't change those people. But when I see like grifters like Officer Tatum and some other people that are just saying, "Oh, you always want to charge people when there's an accident or whatever," and it's people that like none of us were there. So let's just be clear there. But there's definitely questions in regards to what happened that day, and every day new information comes out that proves that the officials down in Mississippi were lying. Not that they didn't have all the facts, not that they misspoke, that they deliberately lied as a way to try to make the case an open and shut case of a tragic accident, and then they wanted to move on. And thank God for Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, and all of the people involved that is keeping a microscope on this case because this cannot, and to all the great people of Mississippi in that area, they are definitely out there demonstrating. They're definitely out there putting pressure on the judge to be recused. They literally had a tip line set up, and the tip line um, calls were forwarded to the judge's cell phone. Like that's how corrupt we're talking about down there. It's so corrupt that the attorney general has basically come out and basically told people to stop talking bad about Mississippi other than saying, "Hey, I know you guys have a lot of questions and this, that, and the other, but please let the facts come out or whatever." No, it's like, don't talk bad about these white boys. The space that this country is in is a space that I never thought we see. But I want some of my black people that want to stay in this I love all people space, as you should. That this is your life, from beginning to end. And you live for you, your family, and those you love. But do you see that there are people that just want the confusion of the country? Like they're willing to pay astronomical prices. They're willing to get sick from lettuce. They're willing to pay higher prices at the pump. They're, they're willing to have data centers, slot cameras, and all of this type of stuff, you know, all in the area when they were just talking about tyrannical governments and you know um government overreach and freedom of speech and the Constitution and all of that. But now they're cheering for a government that looks no better than North Korea when it comes to the way ICE is acting. Like, do y'all understand how dangerous it is for people to literally pretend that their lives are okay when they're paying the same prices that we are? Um, Many can't find jobs, but as long as they see people that they don't like suffering, it's almost like it's enough. It's enough for them to deal with. You know, slowly but surely you have people talking about their wrong and this, that, and the other. But by that time, it's likely like too late for like anything, like tangible to come of it. They're basically just whining at this point and trying to save face because they see the end and they're trying to get back in with family and friends who have kicked them to the curb. Yeah, I remember. I got called names and, Chad, um, Don Cron, about like just pushing people to the side that were too Trumpy for me. And I ain't gonna even speak on like the conditions of those two gentlemen I just named, but put it this way, Trump didn't do anything for him positive. And both of them are trying to like creep back by like saying little things, in regards to with the things he's doing. And this wasn't what I was talking about or whatever. Like I said, man, I might be early, but I wasn't wrong. And I told people that this wasn't a political thing. This was personal, that he had no business being in the White House the first time, and he damn sure didn't have any business being elected the second time. And for the black man who went out there and shitted on Kamala just because she was a black woman, he's a sucker for that. He's a fucking sucker for that. And you more a sucker for it that you're quiet as fuck right now. Like all types of foul shit going on. All types of race-based middle finger type shit from the government going on. And you motherfuckers are quiet as shit, ain't saying nothing. Where the marches at? You march when police kill people or whatever. And this ain't about, oh, you march for police kill people or not gang members. I'm saying no. We have a president that's basically declared war on black people. Where your marches at now, Playboy? Come on, y'all the mans and the women's in your areas with megaphones and marching in the rain and stopping traffic or whatever. Where the fuck is that energy right now that you had in prior to November 2024 when you was shitting on the black woman, watching motherfuckers come out the grocery store complaining about grocery prices and shit like where those fucking tapes at now? Where those recordings at now? I do the shopping in this motherfucking house. It ain't shit cheap. It take you a fucking hour to go through there trying to find shit on sale and figuring out what meals you gonna cook so you ain't just making bullshit for your family. And then I gotta watch politicians tell me if I'm not loyal to a foreign entity, then I'm unpatriotic. Kissed my black ass. That place over there fucking farming fucking organs or whatever. Why have a spouse waiting on a transplant? Nah, man, we ain't doing this no more. We not doing this no more. And like I said, I'm glad that I cut off people that I call friends who decided that they would boldly support Donald Trump, knowing what he was about. They got no regrets over that. And like I said, for those people to have attacked me at that time and to now be trying to talk softer about what's going on or whatever, it's cowardly. It's cowardly. It's cowardly. It's cowardly. And you're cornballs for it. But let me go before I talk for another hour. 'Cause I'm starting to get heated, man. Guys, please, please check your voter registration status. Please, 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 please. Easy go online, check your status. If you're good, you're good. Make sure that when you go to the polls that you have your license or your state ID with you. Um, if you're in possession of any other ID, bring that with you. And not for nothing, push your states to protect you at the polls. There should be a protect the polls movement so that when ICE tries to show up and intimidate, that there's another faction of law enforcement there to stop it. All right? All right. Once again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I want to also thank y'all for all the support. I love hearing from Sean. He's like, yo, man, a lot of people checking out your show. Let's continue to do that. Listen, comment, and share. Share with your friends, people close to you, and let's continue to drive the numbers up. Be sure to continue to support the other great podcasts on this great network as well. Or just subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. All right. See y'all next time. Peace.